Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. With new tariffs on imported vehicles and auto parts now in effect, many across the U.S. auto industry are adjusting. Joining us to share how this will impact New Jersey dealers and the broader retail landscape is Laura Perrotta, who is the president of the New Jersey Coalition of Automotive Retailers, also known as NJ Cars. So Laura, thank you so much for joining us on the show to give us an update as to what's happening with your dealers there in New Jersey. Are they going as crazy as the rest of the country?
Oh, well, thanks, Jim, for having me. Yes, I'm afraid we are here in New Jersey. It's a very stressful time. We're just watching the headlines like everyone else and trying to unfold what this means for the dealers. It's a lot to follow.
Yeah, yeah. What's the consensus? What are you hearing from some of your members?
Obviously, the biggest concern is affordability and making sure that our vehicles in New Jersey remain affordable for folks going out to buy a new car.
Yeah.
So that is the number one pain point right now. And then also even the ripple effect of once you get more expensive vehicles, your monthly payments go up and your insurance goes up, and just the squeeze that's going to come down to for those consumers, whether they can buy a new car versus a used car. So I'd say affordability is the number one issue right now.
Yeah, yeah. Many of the dealers there in New Jersey, in fact, many of the dealers around the country, were actually Trump, fans, Trump supporters. They voted for Donald Trump in the last election and felt as though he is great for business and can turn things around in our troubling economy that we saw last year. How are they feeling today about their decision with Trump? Are they still supportive?
Yes, actually, I would say they are still supportive of the Trump administration. Really, I have heard zero Trump bashing, I will tell you. And actually, quite honestly, it's been more about some of the folks I feel are like, well, let's give him some runway to see how this plays out.
Right.
Supposedly you're seeing that the headlines as much as I am about maybe it is a negotiating tool and that some of the countries are starting to negotiate with Trump. And maybe we'll get a better trade in the end. We don't know. So I think there's actually still quite a bit of patience, no matter how much havoc is happening in the stock market and even with our pensions and 401ks. I think right now there's definitely still some patience, which might be surprising to some.
Yeah, I would agree. And it was surprising to me as I speak to a lot of dealers around the country every day here at CBT News. And I am a little bit, I don't want to say shocked, but I'm a little bit surprised that they are still so supportive of Donald Trump with all that's going on. I would have thought I'd see some, oh my gosh, I've made a mistake, or boy, I really, could kick myself for voting for Donald Trump. But I see just the opposite. And many of the comments are what you just echoed there, that, let's give him enough leash here. Let's see what happens. If this thing works out, it's going to work out in a very big way for America and for the auto industry as a whole, right?
But also, Jim, think about what the alternative was.
Yeah.
If a Democrat had won, would we be talking seriously about maybe some electric vehicle mandate relief in the state of New Jersey? No.
That's right. That's right.
We really be talking about the regulatory relief that we feel is going to come soon, or the tax, the tax proposals that are being discussed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot. You can't just look at tariffs on their own as one line item. It's a big picture here.
Yeah, that's a very good point that you make. There's no question about it. We would be having a discussion, maybe not about tariffs, but what are we going to do about all of the things that you just mentioned? Because that certainly was going to be a mainstay of the Harris administration, right? I mean, it was going to be all steam ahead on some of the things we saw with electric vehicles and such. So do you think that right now there's about a little over 3 million vehicles sitting on lots all across America, new vehicles, I should say. And as one dealer said, it's kind of comfortable now because we have vehicles. We have a 3-month supply of cars. But when we start ordering those newer cars with the tariffs that'll be placed on them, it might be a little bit different. Do you think that could be the case, that the sentiment might change once we're through these 3 million vehicles that are on lots now?
Yes, Jim. I mean, it's very possible. The thing is, I think the longer term the tariffs last, the longevity of it, the more pain is going to be felt across the industry.
Yeah.
And, the more pressure there's going to be on the dealers as far as how to make it work for their customers.
Sure.
So I think the length of time that these tariffs are in place, if they're permanent, that could be a whole nother story. And then even we have to wait to see how the manufacturers unwind the tariffs for each vehicle and what the impact ends up being across the board for all the models.
Yeah.
And each dealer is going to be in a different spot, so it's depending on the brand and supply chain. So I think there's a lot of unknowns right now.
Yeah, there really is. There's no question about it. And this comes at a time that the industry just is celebrating an incredible March. I mean, I'm sure you've heard from all of your members there that March was unbelievable, which really made a great first quarter for 2025, right?
Yes, March sales were very, very good. I mean, you get tax returns on top of tariff fears,
Yeah.
and you get busy showrooms and customers ready to buy, which is wonderful to see.
Sure.
So we definitely feel there was a very, very strong March, and hopefully we have a strong April as well.
Yeah. Do you think that we will see the next 2-3 months with very brisk sales because those consumers are saying, I better hurry in and get my vehicle before this tax increase?
Yes, absolutely. I think we're going to see strong sales, through the spring. I've heard from our dealers, they have anywhere from 30 to 90 days worth of inventory on their lots.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think over the next 3 months, we hopefully will see very strong sales. And then we'll see what happens from there. But, it's obviously it's not just autos right now. We're seeing folks run out and buy iPhones and folks
That's right.
run out and buy TVs. There's quite a ripple effect to the overall consumer spending that's going on right now, the frenzy.
Yeah. I know it really is something. There's no question. If you and maybe you do, if you've got the ear of the advisors in the White House, what would be your advice to them on this particular topic? As somebody that leads an association of automobile dealers there in New Jersey, what would, if they said, hey, what's your opinion of this, and do you have any advice for us? What would that be?
I would say seriously sit down with these countries and try and have a real negotiation on where we want things to go forward with tariffs.
Yeah.
Try and be open and listen and compromise, because I totally understand the desire to bring manufacturing and jobs back to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone would like that.
Yeah.
But we also have to be careful that we don't hurt the businesses we have here in the United States and the small business dealers who are offering really good paying jobs and great, benefits and overall just quality of life for their employees. And we don't want to jeopardize the perfect for the good that's already here on the ground.
Yeah, for sure. Do you think that we'll see a shift in consumer behavior, maybe more of an interest in domestic vehicles versus some of the vehicles that are produced overseas?
Yes, I mean, I do. I think the really tricky thing is, Jim, just being where you are, the seat you sit in, how international all the brands really are and how very global the supply chain is.
Yeah.
Finding 100% domestically made vehicle is non-existent. But that being said, I do think that especially the folks who are the big Trump supporters will be like, let's buy American. And I'd imagine that the domestic brands, unless the price is just skyrockets too much, compared to some of the even international brands that might have more domestic content in them.
Right.
So I guess we'll come down to, are folks actually digging in and looking into what the real content is and pricing?
Yeah.
Or are they going to go with what they envision is American?
Yeah. Do you think that we'll see kind of this groundswell of consumers that say, hey, you know what? This brought it to the forefront. Let's go ahead and buy American. And there'll be this kind of this push to just buy American products since Donald Trump brought this to the forefront?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think there are a lot of folks who believe in Trump 110%, and whatever he is selling, they're gonna buy and they're gonna follow. So
Right.
I imagine we will see an uptick.
Yeah.
Interesting, the Tesla brand damage from Elon and his involvement, though. It's
I know.
I think it might really politicize autos even more than they might already be,
I know.
Democratic purchasers and our Republican purchasers, and maybe they'll be looking at things differently. It'll be interesting.
Yeah. If you had asked me a year ago, do you think Democrats would be against Teslas and Republicans would be for Teslas? I'd say, what are you, crazy? But
Yeah.
that's where we find ourselves right now, right?
Yes, it is. It's really quite fascinating times, and I don't know. There's no end of possibilities here as things unfold.
I know, I know. Every day is a new day, and and now there's some misinformation out there that's posted on the internet that you don't know. Well, is this real? Is he really thinking about negotiating? Is he not? What's the And then the White House has got to backtrack to say no, that wasn't actual information. It was just a blog post or something. I mean, we don't know what to believe. We don't know what to hear. But nevertheless, these 25% tariffs are on in a big way until we hear differently from Donald Trump or from the White House, right? I mean, it's here to stay.
Yes, yes. Unfortunately, right now it's here to stay, and all we can do is, try and keep selling vehicles, making our customers happy, and try and navigate it together, right?
Yeah, yeah. What will this do to the used car industry there in New Jersey? I mean, it seemed to me it's going to put quite a bit of pressure on used car sales. People will obviously find their way to a good CPO vehicle to save a lot of money. Obviously these cars are lasting longer. The technology is incredible. I mean, a 2-year-old used vehicle is almost as good as a brand new car these days, with the way that they're building them and such. But we'll definitely see an increase in value of those, right?
Absolutely. I think the used car market's going to be really hot.
Yeah.
We have, unfortunately, declining inventory in the used car market with, as we all know, with COVID, we saw less new car sales. So we see a tighter used vehicle market coming forward in the next few years. And prices, unfortunately, will likely go up.
Yeah.
We'll almost have another COVID situation with supply and demand. So, I think that if you want to trade in your car in the near term, you probably will get a good deal, I'm imagining.
Yeah, for sure. I spoke to one economist that said, if you look at the last 5 years, 2022 was really the best year out there in terms of profitability for dealers. And if you look at that, it was on a 13 and change million SAR, which means that we were about 4 million or 5 million vehicles off of the high water mark of 17.5 million vehicles. He said, which proved to the industry that we can sell a whole lot less vehicles while the dealers make a whole lot more money. So could there be a little bit of that out there among the dealers feeling as though, yeah, we sell less cars, but guess what? We're going to make more money per copy. And then, of course, pick up the difference in the service department as well. So maybe they're feeling as though we just went through a couple of years that showed us that dealers don't need to sell 17.5 million cars to make good money. Because as you know, dealers were kind of giving them away, in hopes that they would pick up finance and trade-ins and service cars, back before COVID hit, right?
Right. No, I think there's definitely the possibility that dealers could be in a good situation and be very profitable, with the new playing field unfolding with tariffs.
Yeah.
But I would say something that's a new factor on the customer part, on the consumer part, is everything is going to go up in cost. And I know this happened a lot with COVID as well, but if your groceries are costing more and your eggs are costing more and your technology is costing more, do you get squeezed so much that you just can't make that purchase for the new vehicle? And, that's the unknown. So I think we still have to be very concerned about affordability, regardless of how dealers end up doing in the end.
That's right. That's right. Is there anything that you'd like your members to do during this period of time to help your efforts at the association? Any kind of a letter writing campaign or emails or pick up the phone and call the White House, or you're just kind of telling them, let's take a wait and see where this goes?
We're waiting and seeing right now. I will tell you the news interest. There have been a lot of interview requests. So I guess people are, very, very focused on this, which is exciting for, NJ Card to be able to, be giving that information and facts to the local community here in New Jersey. But as far as activating our grassroots, we're not there yet.
Okay.
I wouldn't rule it out if things go really south. But right now, I think the bigger thing we're really trying to do is talk to the state legislature and just explain, here are our concerns with tariffs,
Right.
just so they're aware of, again, affordability issues. And as we make the case for relief
Right.
on ACC2 and trying to make sure that we don't have these mandates hanging over our head in New Jersey,
Right.
I think adding in the tariff conversation shows like you have a lot of consumers who can barely afford a new car.
Yeah.
When you add tariffs onto mandates for electric vehicles,
Yep.
you've all of a sudden you're really constraining product in the state of New Jersey, choice in the state of New Jersey, and costs are going to skyrocket. We've got a perfect storm of affordability issues right now.
Yeah, no question. And your governor is up for re-election, if I'm not mistaken, there in New Jersey, right?
You are correct. Yes, we have a very active gubernatorial campaigns going on right now on both the Democratic and the Republican side.
Right.
Our primary is June 10th. So we're all looking forward to knowing who the candidates will be.
Yes, it'll be a very heavily contested election there, and everybody's going to be fighting for their candidate. It's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out, right?
Absolutely. And a lot's riding on it for the New Jersey dealers, and how these policies will go forward.
Thank you so much, Laura Perrotta, president of NJCAR, New Jersey Coalition of Automotive Retailers, for joining us on the show. We very much appreciate it. And of course, we'd love to do a follow-up with you as this very interesting situation unfolds even further, right?
I would love that, Jim, and I really appreciate the opportunity and getting to talk to you today. So thanks for thinking of us.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tariff talks across the auto industry. We're not just reporting, we're leading the conversation. Catch the smartest takes and the sharpest minds only on CBT News.